Hi, I'm Johnny and you're watching the Hexy Beast, and today I'm going to be taking a quick look at this game right here, Cowboy Bebop Space Serenade. Anyway, let's jam. When we're first starting a game of Cowboy Bebop, the first thing we want to do is choose a character, and for the sakes of this review, I'm going to choose Faye Valentine. Also, you might want to take the 4 starting cards that match your character, so for example these yellow ones belong to Faye, as well as 6 basic money cards, which in this case is for a few Wulongs. Okay, so now we've chosen our character, we're going to take the starting cards and the basic cards we just chose, and we're going to shuffle them together to form our player deck. Then we are going to take one of these cubes, place it in the number 1 space. We're also going to take one of these cubes and place each of them in the number 1 spot on each planet. We're also going to take 5 cards out of the main shop deck and lay them out in a row. This will be where we'll buy cards from throughout the game. So as that, we're also going to set up this wound deck over here. Then we're going to take all the minis, including our own, and place them on the Bebop starting space. Okay, it's now time to set up our starting bounties. And you can tell these are starting bounties because they'll have a 0 renown symbol in this corner. You can also tell which planet they belong to in this corner. Basically, the way these work is you will put the number of tokens represented in the space on the left of each pile. So for example, we will put 2 tokens here and 2 tokens here. The space next to them is the amount of resources you would need to collect them, and we'll explain that while we go through gameplay. Okay, so now we're about ready to draw our starting hand. So we'll draw the top 5 cards of our play deck. Let's see what we got, shall we? So we got pretty much all of our character specific cards. Basically, the way a card works, which I'll explain using this, is there's a few different resources in the game. We have Rulons, we have Fight, we have Clues, and we also have the Fuel. Fuel is the only resource you will keep between rounds. So the aim of the game is to play multiple cards from our hand every turn so that we can use these resources to perform actions on the board. Right now, everyone is relaxing back at the Bebop, so one of the first actions we might want to talk about is movement. So in order for someone to move, they would need to spend the requisite number of fuel, represented in these little gauges at the bottom of each planet, to move to that space. So to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to pay this little fuel card. Put that down, and that'll give us 2 fuel. We're then going to spend one of these fuel to move to Earth from the Bebop. Okay, so Faye has spent the fuel she needed to move from the Bebop to Earth. Now, let's see what other actions we can do while we're here. So in our hand, we can see that we have got 3 Wulons, 1 Investigate, and 1 Fight, as well as 1 Fuel. So I think we should use the This Might Work card this round. So we're going to play this card to gain 1 fuel. If I could move it. 1 fuel. And then, because we got 1 hit down here, it means that we can get one of these tokens off the bounty. So let's do that now. So I'm going to take this 1 token and put it onto my character board. So basically, the goal of the game is that you're trying to collect as many of these tokens as you can in order to get as many renown points as you can. So once one of these bounties is either defeated or captured, you will gain the amount of planet tokens you've got on your board representing that planet in renown. Also, because we just did one of the red resources instead of one of the blue resources, these are harder to find, and it also means that it'll take a few more of them to actually get a token. But because we used an attack instead of an investigate action, it also means that we're going to pull a wound from the wound deck. When we pull a wound from the wound deck, it will tell us on that card where we should put it and what happens when we draw it, etc. So this says for us to put the card in our discard pile. So into the discard pile this goes. So now we're just going to play the rest of these cards in order to buy something from the shop. So this allows us to move one non-player character for free, so let's do that now. So this would be a good time to talk about player powers. So at any time in our turns, we can use the player powers depicted on the card. So for example, Faye's character specific power allows her to spend 2 fuel in order to gain 1 coin. But if I was in the same space as another character, so for example if Jet Black was in the same planet as me, I would be able to spend 2 fuel to remove 2 wounds from my hand or discard pile. So anyway, let's get back to playing our cards. So because we just played this Let's Jam card, we can now move one non-player character into our space. And I'm going to do what I was just talking about on the power card, and I'm going to move Jet Black from here to the Earth planet. Okay, so we also get 1 coin for this, and we've also got 2 coins and an investigate icon. Well, as you can see, every single enemy we've got out here requires 2 investigate icons for us to take a token. So we're just going to try and see how we can spend these 3 coins. The cost of each one of these cards in this row is represented in the top right corner. So as you can see, if I wanted to buy this, it would cost me 3 coins. Just my luck that we have it. It's also its ability when you play it. I may remove a card from my hand to gain a fuel. So I think I'm going to spend my 3 coins and buy this card. Cards that I bought are immediately replaced in the offer. Okay, so now everything we just bought and everything we just played will go into our discard pile, and we will draw back up to our hand size, which in this case is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and our deck is empty. Basically, oh, this is a nice one. So we've got 5 coins, but if you look at these simple cards, one of the ways you can thin out your deck towards the end of the game is if we were to pay 3 Wulongs, we could remove this card from the game. So I think we're going to do that for the first one. So we're going to take these 3, because we just bought a card, that's 2. So we're going to take these 3, and we're going to use them to get rid of this. So this is now out of the game, so we just throw that away. And then we put these, along with our 1 remaining coin, because there's nothing out there that costs 1, into our discard pile. Also, I feel that now we're in a space with Jet Black, we should actually use this power to remove the wound that we've got already. So let's just remove her fuel down to 1. And then we're going to remove this wound from our discard pile. Nice and easy. Okay, so if you would need to draw any cards and there isn't any left in your player deck, you would take your discard pile, shuffle it up, and then draw the amount of cards you need in order to complete your hand, which in this case would be a full new hand of 5 cards. So now we've done that, let's have a look at our next turn and how it's going to turn out for us. Okay, so we've got 4 money and we can move another character, and we've also got another fight. So what we're going to do is, first of all, we're going to buy something from the shop, and then we're going to take the last token off the bear bomber, the teddy bomber even, that we're fighting over in Earth, and I'll explain what happens when you defeat an enemy. So we're going to play these 4 cards to get me 4 money, and as you can see on the Let's Jam card, it'll let us move another character for free. So I'm going to do that now. And also going to buy for 4 coins. Let's have a look at what we got. We'll take this here, which actually no. We are going to take both this card and this card, because as you can see, they both only cost 2 and we got 4 coins. So we will take them and do as before and place them on our discard pile. Also this turn, we had a fuel card and a hit. So after replenishing the shop, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you exactly how to deal with this teddy bomb over here. So because we're about to take this last token from here, it means that we have defeated this teddy bomber. Let's not forget we've also got to take another wound, which in this case, it's a close one. It says to remove the card immediately. So we've now defeated this teddy bomber. So once we've defeated it, we will then check for the amount of tokens that we've got, which in this case is going to be 2, because we've just got another one. And we are going to then take the amount of renown tokens that represent it and put it in our renown area of the board. Because we just defeated this teddy bomber, we are now going to take it and place it underneath the big shot draw deck. Okay, so now, because we need to replace the enemy, first thing we're going to do is we're going to clean up the board, which which means moving all our characters back to the Bebop. And we're going to draw 2 cards, and based on whatever planet they show, they're going to place, or, so in this case, we got Dr. Londas, which is now going to go into the Earth slot, and is going to get 3 tokens for hit, and 4 tokens for his capture value. As you can see, this is a Ganymede card, and because there's already a card in Ganymede, instead, this is just going to go under the big shot deck holder, and we're going to increase the cost it would take to actually move to the area. Okay, so if this cube was to ever get to this red space at the end, it would mean this enemy would escape and we wouldn't be able to get the tokens on it, and it would just end up tucked under here. So now it's going to cost us 2 fuel to move to Ganymede. I'll explain why it's important that these are getting tucked in a minute. You may notice while playing that some cards have these little combo sections of the card. So basically, in order for these to work, if I played this card after a yellow card, I would also get the effect in this box. So let's have a look at what we got. If for the sakes of this, we just happen to have the perfect thing. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to move to a planet. So we've moved to the planet over here for 1 fuel from the Bebop, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this, which will give me 1 coin, and I'm also going to play this next to it to combo, which means now we actually have 2 investigates, as well as 1 coin and 1 fuel. So let's have a look what this does. So if you look over here, you'll notice that in order for us to get one of these tokens over here, the main difference between the red tokens and the blue tokens basically is that you do not receive wounds for these, but they are generally harder to get, but there is usually more of them on a card, so they're worth more renown. So because we played this yellow first, and then we've got this here, we've now got 2 investigate, which is what we need to take this token. So we're just going to take this, place it by here. It's also worth noting that if we were to capture a card instead of defeating it, when we reset, instead of putting this card underneath the big shot pile, we get to take this aside, and we will get these renown points at the end of the game. This also means that when the boss comes out towards the bottom of this deck, which I'll show you in just a second, that you will actually have less spaces to move. But we'll explain that right now, actually. At some point near the end of the game, we're going to draw a card, and it's going to be this vicious card. And this is where the game changes. So now I'm just going to tell you what happens. So first, this is going to come out, and in the solo game, we're going to set him to medium, so he's going to have 11 red tokens and 6 blue tokens. And he has special vicious tokens by here, which also go along with his mini. But also, what else will happen at this point is we will shuffle everything from this discard pile we have under the big shot, as well as everything that's left in it. So let's give that a shuffle. And we're going to shuffle what's remaining. And as well, we should now have a deck of cards that now functions as Vicious's location deck. So we're going to draw the first card, and Vicious is going to be in Ganymede. So let's move Vicious there now. A few things we need to talk about when fighting Vicious. So for a start, for every wound he takes, we also take 2 wounds. Also, every time he takes one of these red ones instead of a blue one, as you can notice, he's also got a quite high investigate value, he will actually change location, and the location that he'll change to will basically depend what deck you draw from the big shot deck, which I will show you right now. So Faye has drawn some fight cards. This might be a problem. Okay, so she's going to deal 2 wounds to Vicious. So we're going to take these two tokens off the top of Vicious's stack, and because we did 2 damage, we are actually going to take 4 wounds. Oof, this isn't good. 3 and 4. And we've got this one goes in the discard pile. These all going into the discard pile, I think. And I immediately lose, a fuel and I remove the card. Okay, so I'm going to place all these into my discard. And then I'm going to lose 1 fuel, which now means I have no fuel, which is a bad thing because we just attacked him. He's going to reveal the top card of the big shot deck. And, it's Ganymede. So in this case, instead of moving, what he'll do is increase the fuel value. Okay, I will say, if Vicious ever escapes, or he runs out of cards here, he is actually going to cause us to lose the game. Okay, so once you have defeated Vicious, that would basically trigger the end of the game. And then you would basically get points based on how much renown you have and how much health you did to Vicious. So you would add all those together as well as the point values of any thing you captured, and that would give you a total score. So that was pretty much how the game is played. I'm going to tell you what I think at the shelf. Catch you in a minute. Okay, and welcome back to the shelf. And this is where I'm going to tell you what I think of the game. So first of all, for aesthetics, I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10. This is mainly because I really like these recessed boards. I think they're very useful, as well as all the art on the cards. As a fan of the show, it really spoke to me. And I like that they've been digitally enhanced. Also, from the aesthetic side of it, I like that they included these plastic minis, which are quite big, as well as the cardboard standees that match them. So that was aesthetics spoken about. Now let's talk about some gameplay. I think this is a pretty average deck building game. You have a 5-card hand. You buy cards, you discard. When your discard runs out, you shuffle up and go again. One of the things I will say though, gameplay wise, is I do think it's interesting that there is an extra few mechanics there with the way you capture bounties and move amongst the planets. Also find that managing the fuel resource can be quite fun in itself. I did have a minor problem though, is that I sort of found that towards the start of the game, especially when you're playing pure solo, if you don't chase those bounties down, you can pretty much just build your deck up until you're ready to start taking bounties. This wasn't really that big of a problem, so I've still given this an 8 out of 10. And now I'm going to be moving on to accessibility. I mean, the rulebook was actually quite easy to read and stay engaged simply because of the wonderful art and design that's very thematic and evocative of the show. I thought that was one of the great features, that the rulebook was actually quite easy to understand also. I will say though, if you are planning on playing this two-handed, I wouldn't bother. It just doesn't work two-handed. The pure solo mode is good fun. One of the other things I really liked is that to score your game was really easy because the tokens were in the right amount of denominations, and it meant that all you had to do was count everything as a 1. There was no big math really involved. So for accessibility, this also got an 8. Which brings the total score of this game to 8 out of 10, which is a very respectable score for me. If you're a big fan of the anime, I definitely recommend you checking it out. So without much further ado, if you like what you see, please feel free to smash that subscribe button up there and check out another one of my videos up here. I've been Johnny, you've been watching the Hexy Beast, and most of all, stay Hexy everyone!